Mastrotto, what did I say? Manfrotto. Welcome to Will It Shoe? Part exploration into alternative materials for shoe production and part test for the skilled craftspeople here at the workshop at Gorrell. Basic concept, we take a much loved shoe like the classic white tennis sneaker and see if we can't replicate it or improve it using scrappy little offcuts or found materials, just other fun stuff really. This week we'll be using loads of fiddly little offcuts of the chrome tanned white Nappa leather from Mastrotto in Italy. We do give some of these away to one of the local universities to use in their testing and development of sustainable building materials, but frankly, they can't take enough of them from us. But as it is chrome tanned, which we know isn't as environmentally friendly as veg tan, we really want to make sure that we're using the scraps as best we can and getting the most out of this. Style-wise, we're going to have a bash at a classic minimal white sneaker. As far as we can see, all devolutionary research for this points towards the Stan Smith, although it was originally named for another tennis player until his retirement in the 70s. If you know that name, put it in the comments. This is a low top laced toe, meaning the tongue and toe box are cut from the same piece of material. Popularized by the likes of Keds and Converse, having the lacing coming further down the shoe allows for a more adjustable but snug fit. Usually, a shoe of this style will have a second piece of leather running along the facing. That's the bit with the eyelets to you and me. This is to reinforce it to stop the laces tearing through. For our take on this at the workshop, which is the Mela sneaker, we've opted to use a stronger, thicker leather and remove this reinforcement to get a more minimal silhouette. The Stan Smith has been a staple for Adidas since its release, but with the rise of minimalism and the likes of common products getting a hold on the game, this kind of shoe has really been pushed as a must-have for any style-conscious wardrobe. So I'm going to pass the materials off to the team at the workshop now, and then we'll see what comes back. Anybody's guess, really? I'm not sure we'll go as deep into the workshop process with every video we make, but for this first one we wanted to show you what went into this process and how these shoes are put together. The scraps were glued to a cotton backer, making sure they're slightly overlapped, and then secured in place by a heat press. This was all then trimmed by hand before being skived, making it easier to stitch. We then stitched along every single scrap piece, mostly to make sure they're secured, but also to accentuate the patchwork effect. A calf leather lining is then stitched to the upper, and before you say anything about it being inside out, just wait. We add a little padding and reinforcement, and then flip it inside out. The eyelets on each piece are then marked out and punched by hand, and then the individual elements of the upper are all stitched together. The shoe can now head downstairs to the lasting room where it will look much more like a shoe. This is the Blake Stitch, which you more commonly find in sort of high-end leather shoes rather than sneakers and trainers. But what it means is that the sneakers can be resold like proper shoes can. So when you have worn them out, we can breathe new life into them rather than something else ending up in landfill. And that is a very quick insight into how the Mela sneaker was made. I'm actually recording this voiceover after I recorded the reaction to the shoes that you're about to see, so I've probably found this as interesting as you. So I've been and had a haircut whilst I was waiting for the shoes to be made, but I think they are about ready. That's Oliver. I mean, they're shoes. So if the question is, will it shoe, then... If the question is, will you wear them, then only you can answer that, which I think is one for the comments. I kind of like the patchwork effect. I think it kind of reminds me of old, like, Canter fabrics and, well, you know, fabrics that make use of scraps, which I guess is exactly what these are. Yeah, you have to let us know what you think in the comments, but... they're a white sneaker. That's pretty much all I have to say on it. I think the stitching along the patches was a really nice detail. It makes it look a lot more intentional than just gluing the scraps. And the calf lining, you know, kind of makes it look a lot more finished. I think the best thing is it's just really nice to know that the idea works, that we can take some scraps and make some shoes. Definitely got the cogs turning for a few other little ideas, so you should probably hit the subscribe button if you want to see what else we're working on. But yeah, don't have much else to say about those. It's shoed.